Barida. It is Wednesday, the 8th of November, 2023. You're watching Morning Brew on Labour Social with me, Graham Hughes. And yes, we have things going on in the news. But first of all, I'd like to say a few things about the King's speech. There were a few headlines that I could have used. I used a lot of them in the thumbnail and the description of this video from yesterday. But my favourite, I just saw it on the BBC and I wish I'd used it. It was the King's, with like lots of Z's at the end of Kings, like falling asleep speech, because it was just absolutely rubbish. Immediately afterwards, we had what's the guy from the Labour Party guy who's really good. I forgot his name. He was on the BBC, basically you could do all that in 2 weeks. You could do all that in 2 weeks, and this is why I don't think they've had a full day of Parliament this year. That they've always knocked off early because there's just nothing to debate. There's just nothing going on. The government just seems to rule by bizarre pronouncements for some godforsaken reason. But let's go through it. Let's first of all, hello to everyone out there. Is that a Madonna song? Good morning, Graham. Good news for the American elections. Yes, Captain Bart Roberts will come on to that. But also there's bad news as well. So, don't get too excited. Chris Bryant, that's the one. Thank you very much. So what was in the speech? First of all, we had Law and Justice, or Crime and Justice. They're going to have a sentencing bill which will require whole life sentences for the worst murders, meaning rapists cannot be released early, making it likely short sentences for lesser crimes are served in the community, which is what we've got, which is pretty much what we've got. You've got to understand that, like, we don't have that many murders in the United Kingdom. We're quite lucky in that respect. We have, on average, about 600 a year in a population of 68 million. So, I mean, just to give you some kind of idea of the scale of that, the US, although it has 5 times our population, over 1,200 people are murdered every year. Not by murderers, but by the police. Yeah, shot dead or die in custody with the police in America. So, their police are doubling the amount of dead that British murderers can muster. So, British murderers out there, step up your game, will you? That's a joke. Please don't. Anyway, so it's just looking at the things that were put in the King's speech, which is just laying out what the government plans to do over the next parliamentary session. There's just nothing in there. The criminal justice bill will include measures to force criminals to appear in the dock for their sentences. Okay. I mean, it does really feel like you're tinkering around the edges there in a situation where the legal system is absolutely flooded at the moment. It's backed up by months, years even, before people are seeing justice. And our prisons are full. Our literal prisons are full, and they're talking about whole life sentences, which we have anyway for the worst kind of murders. We have that every year this century, I think, apart from 2001. Someone quote me on that. Let's not quote me. Someone research that if you want. But yeah, as far as I know, as far as I'm aware, there's been a whole life sentence doled out every single year. It does happen. It doesn't happen very often because we don't have that many crimes that require a whole life sentence for which we feel this person cannot be rehabilitated back into society. They should just be taken away from society forever for what they did. And then we've got a victims and prisoners bill, which would prevent certain prisoners from marrying. Okay, create new rights for crime victims. Okay, I don't see much here that is going to actually help the fact that only 1% of rape allegations that are made to the police that result in an arrest, only 1% go to jail. One in 100. It's basically decriminalized in this country. And nothing about that. Nothing about that. It was the Metro that had the King's Speech. I'll show that in a minute. With policing, linked to that, we've got an investigatory powers bill to give law enforcement agencies greater access to certain personal data, which is nice, including bank records, people. They want to see your bank records. So there you go. That's going to help them, fight fraud, which the Tory government don't even think is a crime because they don't include it in the crime statistics anymore. Interesting they do that. And then the existing Terrorism Protection of Premises Bill would deliver Martin's Law, forcing UK venues to draw up anti-terror plans. I thought they already did that, but okay. So yeah, a draft. This is about a draft law drawn up after campaigning by the mother of a Manchester Arena bombing victim. But apparently a reporter said that it would be ineffective. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Housing. So we've got a shortfall of over 1 million houses at the moment. So a leasehold and freehold bill will ban leaseholds for new houses, but not new flats in England and Wales. So basically, if you house, then you won't have to worry about leaseholding anymore. But if you are a flat, obviously, if you can only afford to a flat, then you probably don't have as much money as someone who has a house, so you're not as rich as them. So again, it's a little bit of Vimes boots syndrome, where if you don't have the money to start with, you're already at a disadvantage. Can we see Sunak's bank records? Asked Andrew. No, you can't. The existing renters reform bill will deliver a long-promised ban on no-fault evictions, but it will only come into force after reforms to the court system. So we were talking about this last month. The Tories claiming that they're going to get rid of Section 21 no-fault evictions, and then they turned around and said, oh, actually, we're not. We're gonna leave that till we've reformed other things. The court system, yeah, which they're never going to do. So there you go. That's not going to happen. Energy and the environment, which is hilarious because the environment bit doesn't really factor in this because it just says licenses for oil and gas projects in the North Sea to be awarded annually under the Offshore Petroleum Licensing Bill. Annually. Here you go. Every year, here you go. Have some more licenses. Meanwhile, scientists are pretty much 99.9% confident that this is the hottest year on record. In fact, October globally was 1.7 degrees hotter than it was at the beginning of globally at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. So we're already smashed through that 1.5 degree target, which is really quite disturbing. Technology and media. We've got an automated vehicles bill, which has set legal framework for self-driving cars. No. Don't get all tech bro at me in the comments. But self-driving cars are bullshit. You can never have a self-driving car. You can have driving assist, yeah, but you can't have some. They're not gonna happen. I know that there's some prototypes going around the streets of Los Angeles or something, but San Francisco. But the reality is that AI has not reached the point where it can understand the context of certain things that a human brain can pick up like that, because we are grounded in context. And a car can't do that. How does a car make a decision if it sees a dog crossing the road and a man dressed as a chicken? It might assume that the man dressed as a chicken is actually a chicken and swerve towards the man. It's got the choice. It can run over a dog or it can run over a man. Which is it going to go for? I mean, you're going to have to think about algorithms that are set up for life and death situations, which will save half the passengers at the sacrifice of, okay, well, I've got to make the split-second decision and I can actually, save the adult in the front, but sacrifice the kid in the back by the way that I end up crashing. No, taking the agency away from humans in that way is at best irresponsible, but it's just at worst it's murderous. Like, it is a very scary prospect because there are so many variables, and I can't get past that. And there's going to be someone in the chat going, "But great, they've had self-driving cars in San Francisco for years now." Yeah, but they're not great, and they have killed pedestrians, and yeah, things can go wrong. And at least with human error, there's you have the human factor in it, I guess. So I'm not against driver assisting stuff where if the car thinks you're going to crash, it slams the brakes on. Great. Slams the brakes on for you. Great. But at the same time, an idea where you could just be sitting in the back of the car, having a beer and smoking weed and having sex while the car drives around town, I think it's for the birds. I really do. The only way you could really do it is if all cars were with self-drive. And even then, I don't think that you could. I just don't think that you could. Or what you could do is make it so all self-drive cars could only go at 20 miles an hour. There you go. And then you can have your self-drive cars that can do its parallel parking for itself, if you're not very good at parallel parking or whatever. But generally speaking, if one hits you, it probably won't kill you. I mean, it might, but it probably won't. 20-mile-an-hour rule. There you go. What do you think? Pledges to strengthen consumer rights online and tackle fake reviews. Okay, that's literally 20 years too late, but okay. The existing data protection and digital information bill will replace the data protection regime the UK inherited from the EU. So basically, we're going to do GDPR again, but with more paperwork because it's British now for some reason. And then the media bill, which was published in draft form earlier this year, will scrap a never enacted rule forcing media companies to pay the legal bills of people who sue them, even if they win. Okay. So basically, that's scrapping a rule that was never enforced. Never enacted, sorry, and never enacted. So they're scrapping that. We get rid of that. Well done. Well done. Is there anything in here? Is there literally anything in here? Social changes. Tobacco and vapes bill. Phase ban on smoking. And that's probably the biggest takeaway of this is the ban on phase ban on smoking. I think they should have a phase ban on vapes as well. A regulator for the top 5 tiers of English professional football will be established for the football governance bill. I mean, okay. And here's the weirdest one. Okay, so this is the king of the United Kingdom, and he's sitting there on a throne in the House of Lords, and all this finery with this crown on his head and everything. And he goes, right, we're going to bring in a pedicabs bill. Pedicabs. So a pedicab is one of those cabs that people pedal, like a rickshaw. That they're called pedicabs here, or tuk-tuk, a cycle tuk-tuk, effectively. And they're going to regulate pedal-powered taxi cabs in the capital, in London. They need some regulation. Now, you know what? When it comes to safety, especially on the roads, I'm all for more regulation. But seriously, this is it. This is what they've got. This is what the Tories have got to show. After 13 years of rule, this is all that they've got left. This and culture wars and hating on trans people for no reason. Sam, thank you very much for £5 super chat. Tory Twitter. Russian gas backed by Labour. British gas backed by Conservatives. Labour will increase illegal migration. No, it's not a troll. Oh my God. Tory Twitter. Russian gas backed by Labour. What about Russian Conservative Party backed by Tories? But yeah, only 3% of our gas ever came from Russia, and now it's 0%. So, I mean, yeah, if you say so. But the idea that we're going to have this amazing free source of energy from the North Sea is idiotic because we pay the international going rate for it, and I don't even think we've got a quota. Someone look this up, let me know in the chat, but I don't think that we have a quota where we say 40% of the oil or gas pumped out of the North Sea has to be sold in Britain. It's a private company that we've handed this over to with massive subsidies. And Labour's been asked what it's going to do about these licenses. Well, we're not going to issue any new ones, but I suppose we have to honour the ones that have been given out already. Yes, to a certain extent, but a lot of these oil and gas companies get massive subsidies from the government. Stop that, Labour. Stop it. Stop giving them any subsidies whatsoever. And when they go, oh, but all the jobs, think about all the jobs that we're saving with jobs. Oh my God, the jobs. No, just walk away. Just don't fall for it. It's an elephant trap. Don't go for the jobs thing, okay? Because that way madness lies. It's like, I'm sure people whose job it is to work on an oil rig, who are engineers, might possibly prefer to work on onshore wind farms instead, with their already amazing skills at engineering and building and things like that. Why did the chicken cross the road? Asked Johnny Copperhead for £5 super chat. Thank you very much, Johnny. Because he was really a man topping himself by Tesla. Indeed. I just woke up and fallen asleep during the King's speech. Self-driving is definitely a child's idea of the future, like all your food in the pill. It's a bit embarrassing as an idea for an actual adult to pursue. Jez, I completely agree. I know it sounds like really horrible and patronizing, but I think it's really daft. It's up there with, in the future, we're going to have silver jumpsuits and everyone's going to fly around in their car. No one's going to fly around in the car. It's too dangerous. There's a thing called gravity. And if you think about how many times cars mess up in general, imagine people trying to fly in cars and then something goes wrong and they drop from the sky. They literally drop like 1 ton bricks from the sky. I mean, just the logistics behind it. It's maddening that we take something and we go, okay, well, we've got a way of doing this at the moment, and it's not perfect. It is not perfect. But what we need to do is reinvent the wheel. And we see this all the time, especially in Silicon Valley, where they keep reinventing the train. But it's not a train. It's a pod system on rails. No, it's a train, mate. It's literally a train. No, it's not. It's cutting edge. It's got galaxy lights. It's different somehow, although it is a carriage on rails that has people in, that goes along the rails. Yeah, amazing. Well done. Hyperloop. Jesus Christ. Anyway, thank you very much to Robert Laris for the £10 super chat. Like watching a hostage video. No, it really was. Well, when King Charles was doing the speech, obviously he's a huge environmentalist, and he was just like through gritted teeth having to say the words. So my government's environmental policy will be to give licenses to oil and gas companies. Yeah, I would have made a bit more of it, but there you go. There's not much you can do about it because the king isn't actually in charge. We live in a constitutional monarchy. What else was in the speech? Well, there was an arbitration bill, which will introduce new rules for individuals and businesses to resolve disputes without going to court. It's a fairly good idea, but again, tinkering around the edges. A trade bill, which will allow us to join the CPTPP Pact on the other side of the planet, which experts believe is going to be worth, economists I should say, believe is going to be worth 0.08% over 10 years to our economy. Honestly, when GTA 6 comes out, that's going to be worth more to our economy than our membership of the CPTPP Pact. That's just mad, isn't it? Bring on GTA 6. Garanga. And then there's going to be a Holocaust Memorial Bill, which was mentioned in the speech about a Holocaust Memorial to be built. Fine, great. But again, I don't really see what this has got to do with national government. Surely this is something that could be set up in London by the London mayor or, the borough authorities. I just found it a bit weird that it was like, oh, yeah, this is national policy now. Okay, great. I mean, I'm all for it, but haven't we got like bigger fish to fry right now? Like in the legislative session, easy for you to say, the next parliamentary session. Haven't we got more important things to get through? Like, I mean, surely you've only got a set amount of time. Don't you have things to fix, like the economy? Public bodies will be banned from boycotting Israel. Oh my God, that is just that. Okay, why? Like the Tories love to talk about freedom, unless it's like freedom. Oh, not like that. Yeah, we have to have free speech at universities. It's really important that if a Nazi said they're going to speak at a university or they're invited along by some 19-year-old pimple-faced gobshite to go and talk at the student union, they have to allow it. They must be able to speak. They will not be silenced. And yet, if a student union says, hey, we're a bit miffed about what Israel is doing in Gaza, so we're going to boycott Israeli products, and suddenly the government's like, oh, no. Not like that. No, that's just taking free speech too far, mate. Like, you're crazy. You're cray. You go to jail now. Wow. Anyway, so a rail reform bill, which would create a new body to oversee the railway in Great Britain, is included, but only in draft form. I mean, it's just like half-arsed scribbled on the back of a notepad. Yeah, we'll reform the rails. Yeah, that sounds good. There was no new bill to ban the import of hunting trophies. Which is something that people wanted. I know it's not like, again, it's not like the most pressing thing going on in the country or on the planet at the moment, but still, people wanted it. I mean, there was supposed to be a bill to bring in a ban on conversion therapy, or so-called conversion therapy, which is a form of mental torture for people who are LGBTQIA plus, because they're not right and they should be converted. So if you find yourself turned on by men, we've got to stop that. Why? Because you're getting turned on by men and you're a man. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Or if you're trans, I don't feel like I was born in the right body. I would feel much more comfortable in myself if I was female or if I was male. Oh no, you can't do that. Why not? Who does it hurt? Who is it affecting? No. You've got to have this religion-led, weird, just form of torture, and we're going to allow it. And they allow it. And the government's done nothing about it. They were going to ban it, and then they decided not to because obviously they're just going to fight the next election on these this bullshit culture war, horrific bullying by the rich and the powerful, heterosexual white males who have done quite well when they, like, literally the moment they popped out their mum, because they popped out onto a pile of money. Anyway, so infuriating is not the word for it. It goes beyond that. It's disgusting. David Faulkner, thank you very much for the 38 Hong Kong dollars. Did you hear about the first death caused by a self-driving car? The police never pressed charges, though, because they couldn't determine its automotive. See what you did there, David? Very, very good. Right. What else wasn't there? Bill authorising the construction for the HS2 rail line between Crewe and Manchester was dropped, because obviously HS2 is not going to go north of Birmingham anymore, and a draft bill to overhaul the treatment of people with learning disabilities and autism mentioned in the last year's Queen's speech. Again, I will state that it takes 3 years on average to get an autism diagnosis on the NHS. 3 years now. 3 freaking years. If you are well heeled, you can pay for a private assessment of your child or yourself, and you can get the help straight away from the NHS once you've got that. But until you get that, you can't have the help from the NHS. Again, rich and poor. Effectively, if you haven't got loads of money in this life, in this society, in this disgusting country that we have built for ourselves over the last 13 years, you're just left on the scrap heap. You're not going to get any support, any help, because, hey, why weren't you born rich? What's wrong with you? It's painful. A BUFU, Mike says, I identify as a rich Nigerian prince. Okay. Weird. GTA 6 is vaporware. Will all be grey when it comes out. The company behind it may make millions from it. GTA 5, best-selling piece of media ever, as I recall. But I'm pretty sure that the UK will see no benefit as they pay no tax. Yes, they do. I mean, it's a British company. Rockstar are a British company. It's the it's DMA Design who make Lemmings. Do you remember Lemmings? It's the same people who do GTA. True story. But yeah, it's a real British success story, and yeah, they do pay tax in this country. So yeah, it would be. You see, the thing is, when they talk about the amount of money coming in through a trade bill, right, and they say, oh, it's just going to be a 0.08% rise in the economy over 10 years. That's not tax. That's not the money we will get from tax. That is the extra money that comes into our economy from outside of economy, which is when you publish a video game as successful as GTA 5 or any of the GTA titles, to be honest with you. That bump is money coming from other countries into our country, effectively. Oh no, more Lemmings. Yes, more Worms. Oh no. I was always a bigger fan of Lemmings. Worms was all about the military, wasn't it? My mate just had to pay 750 quid for his ADHD assessment, £40 per prescription. Either that or wait 2 years. Yeah. That is painful, isn't it? That is just so wrong on every level, and it's the society which the Tories have created for us. But anyways, right, so let's just quickly go over to the papers. Oh wow, I'm nearly out of time. That went quick. Oh, do you know what I've done? I've done something really stupid. Hang on a sec. Just 1 second. Don't worry, I'm back. Okay, so we've got this is what's happening in the newspapers. Interestingly, like there's nothing about the King's speech there. Oops, Britney's sister to tell all in jungle. Okay, so basically a celebrity's going on, very minor celebrity. The sister of a celebrity is going on. I'm a celebrity. Get me out of here. As might be Nigel Farage, so that's worth not watching. And then there's a story about Hamas in Gaza. Interesting the way they put that actually, but let's not go into that right now. And then there's the Earthshot Prize, which is Prince William's green thing. Oh, and the mirror here, just above my head, it says, "Was that it? Tories damp squib King's speech." So there you go. That's all that one. But the Daily Heil, pray they don't end up with a riot at the Cenotaph. As someone pointed out earlier today, they don't stop football matches on Remembrance Day. So the 11th is Remembrance Day. The actual day that we usually go and stand around the memorial is Remembrance Sunday, which is the nearest Sunday to the 11th. But the actual day, the Armistice Day, was 11 seconds, whatever, 11 o'clock on the 11th of the 11th, 1918. So yeah, this is just culture war bullshit. And then Sarah Vile here. My message to the ignorant snowflakes. Your husband knew all about snowflakes, didn't he? Anyway, ex-husband. Desecrate Poppy Day and glorify Hamas. I don't think that's what's happening, but all right, love. And then we've got, actually on the Times, we do have a picture of the King's speech, but actually no, there's no story about it. There's a thing about binge drinking. There's a thing about Tories urging Jeremy Hunt, who's the Chancellor, to do something, be bold on tax, because we don't, I've got all this money that was given by my parents, and I'd like to keep that. That's mine. All those poor people can go away. And then police resist, unless I need medical treatment, and then I'm happy to use the NHS. I will, under stress, use the NHS if I have to. If I absolutely have to get scanned by an MRI scanner, which costs about £50,000 a pop, yeah, I'll charge that to the taxpayer, but I don't actually want to be a taxpayer myself. The rich, eh? Let's eat them. Anyway, and then the police resist call to ban March, because, again, you can't go on about freedom and how important freedom of speech is, and how important it is that we aren't dictated by the bureaucrats of this unelected, super centralised power, and then the bureaucrats of a centralised power in London get to curtail our free speech. But there you go. And there's a thing about, oh God, what's this in the mail? Why the Meghan Markle of Devon and her Earl are getting divorced. That's the Meghan Markle of, God's sake, I was just obsessed. And then the Express just ignores the King's speech pretty much. Oh, it draws election battle lines. Yeah. The lines, I'm going to draw the line, and it's got pedicabs on one side and everyone else on the other. Yeah. Let's regulate those pedicabs. Come on, let's do it. We'll do it together. It'll be fun. Okay, and then Sunak accuses Starmer of plot to lock UK in EU deal. And they're accusing of Starmer of ditching our EU freedoms. What? EU freedoms? No. There are no EU. We've had our freedoms taken away. We used to be free to go and live and work and love and retire and marry and build a house, start a company, do whatever they like in 31 actually, of the richest and most successful and most beautiful democracies on the planet. And now we can't. Freedom, unless you're rich. And then you still can, because Brexit only affects the poor, which we all are, thanks to Brexit. And then the Star has got carrots turn me into an Oompa Loompa. Oompa Loompa. Okay. And then, yes, the first King's speech, last Tory roll of the dice, historic pre-election opening of Parliament, and then PM's last-ditch effort to reverse party's decline in polls with crackdown on serious crime. Are they going to arrest themselves? And then Defiant Met Chief rejects ministers' calls to ban pro-Palestinian march, which, I find myself in a very strange position where I agree with the police here. If people do cause trouble, they should be arrested. But if they don't, what is wrong with marching for peace? Marching for an armistice in the Middle East on Armistice Day. I couldn't think of anything more appropriate. And if you are going to stop that, then you have to stop the football. Because how can you have people in the stadium cheering for their team and telling the other team to F off and on Armistice Day? Come on, people. We should all just stay at home, light a candle and cry ourselves to sleep. That's what we should, in memory of those people that died because they were told to die by posh people. But at least in World War One, the posh people died too, which I guess is why we fetishize it a lot more than any other conflict. I remember the poor boys in World War One. Yeah, some of them went to Eton and Harrow and Winchester. Yeah, the officers, they had to run on the top. With the men, they had to, and a lot of them died. Maybe that's why they make such a big thing about it. I don't know. Anyway, we can't forget vigils held for Israeli hostages. That's on the front page of The Guardian. And new tax on vapes could be introduced. I would have some serious. I think there should be some serious. Maybe not a full ban, but like restrictions on vape usage. It is, from what I've heard from my stepdaughter and teachers that I know, vapes are a huge problem in schools, like a huge problem in schools at the moment. And just as bad as cigarettes, but these single-use vapes are really bad for the environment as well. Then again, so are cigarettes. So in the ocean, by weight, the second biggest amount of thing in the ocean after fishing tackle is cigarette dog ends, the butt of cigarette butts. By weight, that is the biggest mass of plastics in the ocean. Nice. Anyway, Braverman split with number 10 on tent as Tories accuse her of leadership bid. So she's been admonished by the rest of the party basically for saying that being homeless is a lifestyle choice, and the other members of the Tory party have been trying to distance themselves from her. Accounting watchdog scraps plans for full-scale overhaul of boardroom rules. That's on the Financial Times, and just a little bit of a picture of the King's speech there. And then, this is the one that I was referring to at the start of the show. The King's speech, Charles's state debut, just saying, historic day, yet Sunak plans just more of the same. Indeed. So that's the roundup of the King's speech yesterday. I did do a live commentary on it, and I was just pulling my hair out. You can watch that on the Labour social channel if you want to. There's no PMQs today. I don't know why. Parliament's back. I don't know why there's no PMQs, but I looked it up before I came online today, and there is no. Sorry, before I came online, before I started broadcasting, I was already online because otherwise I couldn't have looked it up. Where did it go? The freaking library. What is this? 1995. Anyway, sorry. So there's no King's. There was a King's speech yesterday. There's no PMQs today, so I won't be doing that. But I should be back here in the next few 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock, hopefully, with a couple of moments of truth for you. And Phil will be back tomorrow morning at 9:30 for a slightly more considered view of what's happening in British politics, if you like that kind of thing, which I do. So please join us for that. And in the meantime, thank you very much for your comments. Sorry I couldn't get through all of them. There were a lot. And I'd just like to say thank you for the super chat as well. That's really kind of you. And until next time, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.